Hey everyone, two-time back from Spyral gameplay. This time in Diamond 1 ranked, I'm going second with Spyral against Swordsoul, the deck of the format, the best deck in the format for sure. And the only interaction I have is Ash, which isn't too great against Swordsoul, but we'll see how that plays out. So my opponent's going to open with Moye, and I'm not really going to have any interaction for that. They have an Ashuna in hand, it's good to note that. So they're going to make a token and go into Chi-Xiao as per usual. So, depending on what they get with Chi-Xiao, it makes my Ash better or worse. Basically, I never want to Chi-Xiao the Moye. You don't want to freaking Ash Blossom the Moye. You never want to Ash Blossom an Upstart Goblin. That's just bad. So, and the Chi-Xiao's chain block, so I can't stop that. So my hope is they're going to have a Swordsoul emergence I can negate, and they go for Blackout, which means they either have the long one or they have the emergence, and they went for emergence, and this is what you save Ash for. This and Vessel, and I guess Heavenly Dragon Circle are the only cards that Ash interacts with favorably against Swordsoul, so you want to save it for that card. And this section will lead my opponent to a set 2 pass. So now, if I can resolve a Spyral Resort, I probably win. So chances are this is Blackout, and Blackout's not very good against Spyral once you have Resort on the field because they can't target any of your Spyral cards, so their Blackout isn't able to resolve because they can only target Resort. So until you go into a Link monster that isn't a Spyral or like a Danger or something, the Blackout is dead, which is fun. So if I can resolve this Terraforming, I'm probably going to win, and my chances are their set card is either a Impermanence or something like an Impermanence, maybe a Droplets, which would be worse. But Impermanence is also bad against Spyral Resort, so that's worth noting. I'm going to Terraforming, and unfortunately, all that play line goes to the wayside because they ashed Terraforming, which sucks. And that's just how it works. But if I had Drone to Agent combo, that probably would have been enough to win the game. But now I'm just going to have to blind fire Agent, and they have Impermanence on top, so I missed it because I always call Monster in the blind. So my plan here at this point now is to set Big Red, because my hope is I can use my Dangers to discard Super Agent and Big Red that Super Agent to pop something. But assuming my opponent's cards are Blackout and Impermanence, it's really iffy because no matter what I do, they can just black out the Danger and the Big Red and get me off of my Super Agent. But that would sacrifice their Chi-Xiao, so that's kind of not too bad for me. The reason I activated Jackalope instead of Nessie is there's like a little math to this, but basically if I activate Nessie and Nessie snipes Jackalope, then I'm only summoning 2 Dangers to the field. If I activate Jackalope and discard Nessie, I can go get a Tsuchinoko and get another chance at drawing a card. And what I really, really want here is to draw a Spyral Resort. That's like my best card right now. So I'm just trying to draw as many cards as possible. So sniping Nessie lets me get another Danger, which gives me another chance at drawing a card. So I go into Tsuchinoko. Tsuchinoko, of course, snipes, and so it doesn't matter. Also, I drew Maxi off Jackalope. Great timing, 6-card Maxi as per usual. So at this point, my only real play here is to Knightmare Pheonix and discard Super Agent so I can Big Red it, just to try to start clearing their back row and maybe force their Chi-Xiao. So they're going to save their back row. And I know they want to save this card, so I'm actually going to Big Red my Super Agent to try to pop it. But this is the kind of play I expect. I'm going to Big Red, and they're just going to black out in response, and that's that. My opponent does have an Ashuna in hand, so if they have another Moye or an Ecclesia or something, this is the right play. They already have all the follow-up they need. So yeah, this is bad news for me. I basically blow all my cards, and they have way more cards in hand than I do. So I'm 1 card versus 4, though the 1 card is Maxi. I'm still thinking this is an Impermanence or something. So they're going to go into Ecclesia. This is actually an interesting decision line too. So if you want to play around Gamma, you immediately activate Maxi when they summon Ecclesia, instead of waiting, because letting them activate Ecclesia and then using Maxi because you want to guarantee the draw does let them Gamma. I'm not playing around Gamma at this point because I have to draw a card because it's my only card in hand. I just need to get deeper into my deck, and I just have to, like, if they have Gamma, they win, so I just have to live with that. They don't have Gamma, so I don't lose immediately. And they go to Moye, and they're going to stop their turn because of Maxi. Now, my opponent does have an Ashuna in hand, and I know that. They also have an Impermanence in hand, so I know everything except this 1 set card at this point. I know that I have full information. Now, if my opponent has an Ashuna, they probably should just go for it. You know, they can summon a token, then summon Chi-Xiao. Chi-Xiao get long one discard. The Ashuna make the token. I would be drawing a bunch of cards, which would maybe, like, they don't want to lose to Nibiru at that point. They're thinking, like, I've got 1 card in hand, what can I do? But, like, that is lethal, right? I'm pretty sure they can long one plus Moye plus Chi-Xiao. So long one into Qingying into Chi-Xiao is actually that's not. Yeah, the Ashuna could summon a Ashuna and that'd be game. Yeah. So yeah, that would be a lethal push, but they don't want to play into Nibiru or an Impermanence, which I do play, or an Effect Veiler. Any of those cards would stop them from winning, and I would have a full grip. So they just go ahead and pass the turn. I draw a Sleeper, which is a dead card, so I'm going to set my Call by the Grave. I know this is an impermanence. So I know my opponent's card in hand is a Shuna and an Unknown. And so they didn't draw anything that does anything, thankfully. So I get another turn to live. So I'm going to draw. And impermanence. Okay, well, you know, this is the downside of running cards like impermanence for Swordsoul. In a top decking situation, it's not doing a whole lot. My opponent draws and does nothing. Okay, so their hand's just... I'm just thinking it's got to be a bunch of Tenyis, right? Like Adhara would... Actually, they probably just summon Adhara at this point to make a freaking Hawk or something. But, yeah. So I draw Resort. Resort's actually the best draw in my deck. They also set another card. Ooh, that's dangerous. So I'm going to go for Quik Fix. So funnily enough, I don't have Big Red in my graveyard anymore, so this Quik Fix doesn't do a whole lot. What it does do is represent a third Spyral in my graveyard. So here's the funny thing. So I know my opponent has an impermanence here. They flipped the Forbidden Chalice because the impermanence isn't activatable because of Resort. They have no legal target with the Resort on the field. They do have a legal target for Chalice, and they think, oh, I'm just going to Chalice. I don't know why I can't use Imperm. And Chalice has a legal target, which is Moye. I think that's hilarious. A lot of people just don't know how Spyral Resort works. So yeah, Quik Fix is going to resolve into Resort. I'm going to go get my last Resort because that's my last viable card to get. Drone doesn't do anything here because I've already normal summoned it, and I can also get Drone later with Resort. So I can go ahead and go into Linkuriboh to get Quik Fix in the graveyard, and finally summon my Sleeper by banishing my last 3 Spyral cards in the graveyard and equipping Last Resort. And I'm just going to pop their back row because I actually don't care about this Moye. I can just attack over it. And I get an Imperm, which I knew about in a call by, which I didn't. Frankly, if my opponent knew the matchup better and they were playing around Sleeper, they could have immediately called by like my Super Agent or something. But you know, they should have at least called by like a Danger or something in response to Sleeper activation. I don't know. They just didn't care at that point. And I could attack him with Sleeper and Linkuriboh, putting him down to an even 7k. I'm going to recycle a Danger. I think Nessie's actually the better Danger to send back in retrospect, but it doesn't really matter that much. So my opponent's going to get into Ecclesia. I'm going to let that resolve because I want to... I know they have an Ashuna in hand that I want to leave in hand, right? An effect monster on the field is good for me because it keeps them off their Tenyis. And I actually have this impermanence on the field to negate Moye and leave it stranded, which is great. There's actually a line potentially where my opponent like attacks into Sleeper just to turn on their Ashuna at this point, but I don't think they want to do that. So they're going to attack into my Linkuriboh. I'm just going to put it down to 0. And I'm just going to go ahead and pass, which is great for me, so I'd like to get to the end phase before I pop the Moye, because I still need to attack my opponent to win the game. And my idea here is I can just start recycling Drone and put bad cards on top of my opponent's deck. The downside of this is Swordsoul has very few bad cards in the deck, and it's one of the reasons it's very good. I was hoping maybe I could put like an Impermanence or a Crosshead on, or an Ash Blossom on top, because those cards don't do anything, but when I activate Drone here, their top 3 cards are Swordsoul Emergence, Taya, and Adhara, all 3 gas. I know they have an Ashuna in hand, so you know, Ashuna and Adhara is a combo, and if I don't know their last card, that's dangerous because that would force my Sleeper activation or my Call by the Grave. Taya is actually interesting because if they summon Taya and I pop the tokens, it's like the Moye situation all over again where they got nothing left. So they can't. So I'm going to put Taya on top of their deck because I think I have a line for that. I'm also going to put Drone in the graveyard with Linkuriboh so I can recycle it with Resort and play Drone next turn. Because Drone is actually lethal if my opponent like puts a lot of material on the board, because I can pump my Sleeper. So turn change, they're going to draw Taya, so I know their hand is Taya, Ashuna, and I can play around that. So they're going to go into an Ashuna first, obviously, and I have the Call by the Grave just to immediately banish that so they don't get that effect. So, as I said, lots of decision making in this game. And I'm going to immediately Call by the Grave on summon, so negate, and then they're going to have a Vessel, which I did not play around. They're going to send a Vishuddha and go get an Adhara. Vishuddha doesn't really do anything, but Adhara does. Adhara represents a Halcyon line, which I think they're going to save once they... I don't know. They're going to return Resort to my hand with Vishuddha, which doesn't do anything, really. So here's an interesting situation. My opponent's going to Adhara and then Taya. So I think my opponent misplayed here. I think they should have immediately gone into Halcyon if they run it. I don't know if they do. I didn't check their deck. But you're not really running Tenyis without running Halcyon at this point. So they're going to... If they don't run Halcyon, then this doesn't matter. But I'm playing like they do have Halcyon. They should have immediately gone to Halcyon because that forces my Sleeper. Because if my opponent gets to Halcyon, they can go into a Yazi, and Yazi can pop my Last Resort, and then go get another Taya, and special summon Taya, and then I have nothing to out that except popping my own Sleeper, and that's very bad. Popping my own Sleeper is very bad on that field. I wouldn't immediately die, but I would be in dire straits. I'd be popping Taya, and they'd have an Auroradon on the field. They could pop my Linkuriboh and attack me for 21. It'd be really bad. But now that they've done it this way, this is the actual game state that matters. I can basically strand my opponent. They're gonna banish the blackout, which is fine. I can strand my opponent with nothing but tuners on the field, right? Because I can sleeper, pop Taya, and the monk, and now they have no Halcyon plays. They just have three tuners on the field. Because these don't let them link summon these tokens. That's like the funny thing about Swordsoul as a deck. If they have the tokens on the field, they can't link summon anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and summon Drone. And this is actually just game at this point. I actually have like multiple ways to game them. I could have just like Drone pumped it to 1500, which would be slightly over lethal, and then like Last Resort, Sin Resort, attack for game. But I thought this was funnier. I attack the token, Drone, pump Sleeper, pop their last two monsters with Sleeper during battle phase, and attack for just barely over lethal with Linkuriboh. That's the funniest way to end it, so that's the way I did it. And that is game. I hope you guys like that. This is one of the best games I've had against Swordsoul, besides maybe that one tournament game I showed you guys a couple weeks ago. But yeah, this was a really fun and interesting game. There was a lot of back and forth with a lot of grind to it, and I thought it was really worth showing. So yeah, if you guys like that, throw a like, comment, subscribe, anything like that. I love interacting with you guys, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.